Cam Akers, for those who missed it, was traded to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for a swapping of 6th and 7th round picks in like 2025. It's mostly nothing. It's mostly a procedural move to get Cam Akers over to Minnesota, where Alexander Mattison has not been good. Like the Minnesota Vikings, yes, they don't run the ball much, but it's a chicken and egg scenario, right? You wonder if it's because Alexander Mattison is not good at running the football. The coaching staff, O'Connell's, hey, maybe we shouldn't rush it very much with Alexander Mattison. Also, this guy is not getting the goods for us. So we should not be going after Alexander Mattison. This is pretty disastrous for Alexander Mattison, because for those who don't remember, Cam Akers started his rookie year under Kevin O'Connell as the offensive coordinator for the LA Rams. And there were, in just Cam Akers' rookie season, 8 different games where Akers had at least 10 rush attempts. So Cam Akers, and then we look at what he did at the end of the season. We saw games where this is the 2020 season, 21 for 72 and a touchdown, 29 for 171 against New England. We all remember that game. 15 for 63. And then the playoffs against Seattle, 28 for 131. And then against Green Bay, 18 for 90. Both of those games, Seattle and Green Bay had a touchdown as well. And then 2021, remember, he was hurt. He came back for the playoffs, and O'Connell was still the offensive coordinator. Akers played in all of the playoff games, handled at least 13 carries in every single game for Kevin O'Connell and the offensive coordinator at the time. And now he's in Minnesota. Now the question is, who is worse, Cam Akers or Alexander Mattison? And the profiles is very clear who's better. It's Cam Akers is the better profile. Like Akers with the better draft capital, better pass production as the starter in scenarios. But the eyebrow raises are he's on a new team, but maybe that's ameliorated by the fact that it's the same offensive coordinator he's had for 2 years. And it's also that the Vikings actually traded for him. They didn't just wait for him to be cut or put on waivers. So I think there is a little bit more optimism than what I'm feeling like in my doom scrolling through Twitter. I think Cam Akers is a decent enough pickup. I think it's worth, if Cam Akers was dropped in any of your leagues, I think he's worth picking up because he can get the volume of, let's say, 13 to 15 carries, and he can easily push Alexander Mattison aside. I've been saying Alexander Mattison is just a guy for the entirety of the summer. And that's why I was pounding the table for Dwayne McBride, which, whatever, I'll take the L on Dwayne McBride. I love Dwayne McBride. Because sometimes you got to have your truth or people. But Dwayne McBride was one of my people. But it was speaking to the process of identifying Alexander Mattison, not a player that I want to be heavy on in best ball drafts over the summer. We knew he was a fragile asset. I think I have 5% Alexander Mattison, and almost all of it, I think all of it was late, significantly after ADP. That was the only reason I was taking Alexander Mattison. I had 8% Cam Akers, so I was right in line with the market. That's fine. I didn't have a strong take on Akers, but the fact that he's now in Minnesota, we do talk about the small-ish rush volume, because only 22% of plays ended up being runs for the Vikings through the first 2 games. I think that does shift back and regress to the mean, or your imaginary mean for Minnesota, and the addition of Cam Akers can support that. We saw Akers at the end of last year play very well. 17 for 60, 2 touchdowns, 12 for 42 and a touchdown, 12 for 65 and 3 for 35 through the air. So 100 total yards. Against Denver, 23 for 118 and 2 for 29 through the air. 19 for 123, 21 for 104. Cam Akers played very well at the end of last year. If we look 2022 and we select the weeks that Cam Akers got the volume, so week 13 and beyond, among running backs, okay, Cam Akers was 4th in PFF rush grade. Cam Akers was number 1 in touchdowns from weeks 13 to 18 last year. And Cam Akers, 24 missed tackles forced. That was 3rd among all running backs at that from that point on. So there have been, when he's leaned upon heavily, instances where Akers has shown that he can be an efficient back. And when he gets the volume, like at that point, 4.9 yards per carry from weeks 13 to 18, respectable. Okay. Even with a trash offensive line that the LA Rams had by the end of last year. So let's not like poo-poo Cam Akers after one game in 2023. No, let's not poo-poo him. Let's instead just wait a couple weeks, pick him up off waivers. That's fine. If someone dropped him in your league, he's worth a stash, especially in leagues that running backs who have a pulse. Give me some Cam Akers as a stash moving forward. It's clear Alexander Mattison is not the guy. We know Alexander Mattison is not going to be the guy. So at least Cam Akers might be the guy.